So this is done by Tactically Acquire. One of you guys suggested this. It's kind of a long one. So we're in for a ride here. So buckle up. Let's check it out.
Sir, we've got a problem. Give it to me straight. On a scale of 1 to 10, how bad is it? 12, sir. Oh, man. I hate to do this to the enemy, but there's literally only one option left. Thanks. Be careful with that, son. Oh, Jesus. The heck was that? No. Sir, we can't do this. This is just cruel.
All the way.
You want to know something crazy that I just realized? You know, when you think about it, most of human civilization has been dominated by men named John. Seriously, I think I'm on to something. I mean, the world has been built by Johns, defended by Johns, and occasionally has even been pistol whipped by men named John. Wow, you are seriously reaching with that one, my guy. Where's your evidence? I'm gonna need to see some receipts on.
Okay. The person who suggested this literally, I'm going to quote here. Direct quote. The person that suggested this literally put in the note, Black Marine version of Fat Electrician. They were not wrong. He's got the fucking cadence down. He has Nick's cadence down on this one. Which, not a bad thing at all. You're right, Revan. It's a good format, but he's even pulling out the fucking keyboard warrior, just calling him, actually. I will check to see how old this channel after we finish the video. I will look.
On that one. First of all, is that one of my shirts that you're wearing? What? No? Alright, whatever. And you know what, Junior? Unlike your dad, I'm not here to disappoint you, so allow me to present you with exhibits A through, honestly, just whenever the hell I feel like stopping. I mean, come on, it's just too easy, because you've got John Basilone, John...
Hold up. Chat? Did you see what I saw just now? Did you see what I saw just now? Huh? Did you see it? I will show you again.
Whenever the hell I feel like stopping. I mean, come on.
Oh, you couldn't see it because I'm in the way. I'm so sorry. My apologies. I was in the way. Chat. Peppers in the background. Good doggo.
It's just too easy because you've got John Basilone, John Glenn, John Paul Jones, John Mad Jack Churchill, John Blackjack Pershing. Have I made my point yet, or should I keep...
John Connor. I'm sorry, where was John Connor? One of the greatest leaders of humanity of all time. No John Connor? Fail. John Wick, another one. Although John Wick is not... Okay, John Wick, yes. John Wick, yes. John Madden, now Ping, you're stretching. You're stretching. John Rambo, yeah, yes. He missed so many Johns.
Phrasing.
Thank you, Narga. Thank you for the gifted.
Going. Okay, fine, I give up. I think you've made your point. You can move on now. Well, that's too bad, because I've got a few more. I mean, I can't leave out the greats like John Garand, John Moses Browning, John Rambo, John Wick, John McClane, John Connor, and even John...
Called it! I didn't even realize it, and I called it! And you guys did too! You guys did too with John Rambo and John Wick! He said the things! He said the things! Don't you fucking pre-watch me! Don't you pre-watch me! I've never even heard of this person before you guys told me about him today! Don't you dare tell me pre-watched! Yes, I am Psychic Kirk. Remember that the next time you try and keep stuff from me. Just remember, I know your PIN code. Well, okay. John Constantine might be Fuck him into another round. Maybe he will bring up John Constantine, for fuck's sake.
Snow.
You know nothing, Jon Snow.
Guys, if you're not picking up what the Johns are putting down, what the world is trying to tell you is that no matter how you look at it, from Browning to Basilone to Bangable, apparently the cheat code to winning at life is just to be named John. And in today's video, we're digging into the life of a John that you've probably never heard of before. A John who faced down hundreds of armored NVA vehicles, played hours of high-stakes monkey bar games, and still somehow came out on the other side ready for more. A John who till his last breath pushed back on the modern polish the edges politically correct nonsense that sought to try and housebreak our nation's fightingest warriors. A John who meant so much to his men that the United States Marine Corps literally scrambled Marine 1 to deliver a life-saving organ for him. Ladies and gentlemen,
Sorry, shit. Okay. That is some epic levels of badassery right fucking there. Is they deployed Marine fucking 1 to deliver an organ for him for transplant? Yes, that is the definition of the main fucking character. Holy shit. And for those of you that don't understand why I am losing my shit about this, of which I'm guessing there are very few of you in chat right now that don't know why I'm losing my shit. Marine 1 is the helicopter literally only used by the President of the United States. Marine 1 is the helo designated specifically and only for the President. That's why I'm losing my shit off this. Because they had the literal president's bird delivering an organ for this man. For a transplant, I'm guessing. Holy shit.
the phrase truth is stranger than fiction doesn't even begin to cover it, so let's dive into the life of another John that you're about to know, John Ripley. John Walter Ripley was born on June...
Oh my god. Oh my god, chat, I just realized.
Another John that you're about to know, John Ripley.
Chat, he has double the badassery. He's a John, and his last name is Ripley. Now, yes, I'm not, don't try and pull something on me. Don't mistake it. I'm not trying to, like, gender swap him or anything. But, again, the last name of another badass. Yes, it was a woman, but she's still a badass. It is still a badass name. So he got double the badassery in his name. Atanashi, it is entirely possible that Ellen Ripley's name was derived from John Ripley. It is entirely possible. I don't know, but it is entirely possible.
John Walter Ripley was born on June 29, 1939 in Keystone, West Virginia. And literally right out of the gate, we get our first clue about the kind of life that John would go on to live.
God, he was
Young
poor.
John didn't make it a full 24 hours before the world tried to take him out. Sudden sickness would nearly kill him, but in what would become a common theme throughout the rest of this story, he survived. John grew up with parents who planted deep roots of faith and love of country. And no matter how hard they tried to keep him on a perfectly straight and narrow path, John still found himself in enough mischief to earn his childhood nickname.
Welcome to the party, Xenomorph.
Of Huckleberry Finn. John was an active kid and known to be a bit of a daredevil, with his favorite activity being playing on the bridge behind his house. One of his signature stunts was that he'd swing across the bottom of the bridge like a kid playing on monkey bars. His nephews would come and watch in amazement as he would dangle nearly 40 feet above the river below. And as if this wasn't dangerous enough, his other favorite pastime was making anything and everything he could find blow up. One of his favorite arsonist in training activities was to make a small fire, set a jar of gasoline on top of it, and then shoot at it with his .22 rifle. And as you'd imagine in a town...
Sir, okay, what? So he was so this kid was like, I don't want to say he was a firebomber, but he just liked to make things go boom. Oh God! Wait. So, oh, pay up. Hold up. So he's already improvising to figure out ways to make things go boom. Definitely sounds like a Marine in the making.
Of only 9,000 people, kids experimenting with reverse Molotov cocktails caused quite a bit of stir in town. When John and his buddies, locally known as the River Rats, weren't moonlighting as part-time parkour pyros, he could be found making unauthorized visits to the town's local strawberry patch, happily trading taking some rock salt in the ass in order to fulfill his sweet tooth fix. Fast forward a couple of years, and when John isn't terrorizing the locals, John is starting to show early signs that he is destined to become a Marine. A friend of the family would often come by and tell him all about his time in World War II and the fighting that took place in Okinawa. During one of his visits, he gave John a Marine Corps jacket and on another occasion, some emblems to put on it. That early USMC indoctrination never truly left him and would eventually turn into him applying to the US Naval Academy. Now there was only one issue with this plan, and it was the fact that John was never much of a good student. John knew it, and his dad knew it. So in order to ensure his boy would actually study hard enough, his dad would enroll him into a prep course and then lock him and his study material in his room for the next several weeks. Now admittedly, by today's standards, that does sound pretty extreme, but hey, beating your kid's ass to greatness worked for Michael Jackson, so why wouldn't it work out for John? And apparently it
So, you also have to remember that it's like, okay, let's take the Michael Jackson thing and put that aside. This was also, he grew up also during a time where beating your kid's ass actually made for a good kid. Let's not forget that. Like, when he was growing up, he was born in 1939, so, you know, like this would have been around, what, the late 1940s, 1950s, or early 1950s? Like, this was back when parents routinely beat their kids' asses, and you know what? It disciplined their kids, and the kids actually grew up to be productive members of society. Like, this is missing from the modern age. More kids need to get their asses beaten by the parents. The parents need to kick their kids' asses. That's how you, yes, it's how you build character, but it's also how you instill discipline and good values. When a parent whoops their kid's ass, that kid knows.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
So because parents don't actually kick their kids' ass anymore because they're so fucking dedicated to being their friend versus their parent, the kids grow up with no discipline, no values, no sense of responsibility and not knowing what the fuck is right and wrong because they get away with literally fucking everything. And yes, Lorik, you are correct. There's a big difference between discipline and abuse. Absolutely. What I'm referring to is discipline, not abuse. I'm referring to discipline. You know, when the kid fucks up, they get a belt across the ass or something like that. That will instill, okay, I fucked up. I shouldn't do that anymore. Not abuse, where it's literally, just like beating your kid bloody because they stole a candy bar. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about getting a good whoop on the ass, maybe get them crying a little bit to let them know they fucked up. Don't do that again. And the kid's gonna go, I fucked up. I shouldn't do that again. And they can grow up to be a productive member of society. We're missing that in this day and age.
Did kind of work because while he did pass, he only managed to become his congressman's fourth alternate. Good, but not quite good enough to get in. He'd have to wait another year to try again, so instead, at 17 years old, he decided to join the United States Marine Corps. Now, would it surprise you to learn that John Ripley, the boy who could only have fun on the monkey bars 3 stories up, used gasoline as firecrackers, and was willing to exchange a rock salt ass whooping for some tactically acquired strawberries? Would it surprise you to learn that he fit right in with the Marine Corps way of life?
We're the first to go and the last to know. And that goes for everything. A firefight, the gates of hell, Romanian prostitutes, sailors' wives, and your...
Okay, what? Is the Romanian prostitute hot? Because if the Romanian prostitute is hot, I'm with you. I'm with you on that one. Just saying. The sailors' wives, leave the wives alone. The Romanian prostitute, if she's a dusky, dark-haired beauty, I'm right there with you.
Your mother.
Yeah, he absolutely crushed Marine Corps boot camp, and he had 0 issues at all with the physical side of being a Marine. However, those damned written tests were coming back again to bite him in the ass. After spending a year in the Marine Corps, John applied to the Naval Academy again, and this time he got in. But because his high school grades were so bad, he was then forced to spend a year in the Naval Academy prep school before he'd even be allowed to attend the academy. John would spend the next 4 years at the academy before graduating and reporting to basic school for Marine officers in Quantico, Virginia. From here, John kicked things into high gear because he then proceeds to attend some of the hardest schools the United States military has to offer. In May of 1964, he completed the Army's Airborne School, and not long after that, he'd get an invite to become part of Force Recon. And in case you don't know, Force Recon are the elite Marines who get the hardest missions, go the deepest into the fight, and they take on missions that rarely, if ever, get reported on. So
would it be safe to say, for those of you know, because I only know Marine Force Recon by reputation, not specifically what they do. Would it be safe to say that the Marine Force Recon is essentially speaking the Marine version of the Rangers? Would that be a fair assessment? The Marine Force Recon is the Marines version of the Army Rangers. Would that be considered accurate in that descriptor? Force Recon is the equivalent of a football linebacker of the military. Okay. So am I incorrect in my assessment? That it's, you know. They go in first and they go on, okay, yeah. Force Recon Marine is another guy. Curtis Hathcock was a scout sniper. Dwayne, he was a scout sniper. I don't think he was he was a scout sniper, and he was oh god, I blanked Matt, and he was he did stuff with MacV Saw. So I remember if he was actual Force Recon, because he was his own thing. He was his own thing as a scout sniper. Now, is it what is like scout? Is his kind of scout sniper sort of lateral to the Force Recon? That argument can certainly be made. Yes. The Mos Haberande is like water; they'll do anything thus far. Okay.
John thought about it for a bit, and his response probably went something like,
"They said, you want to kill people and not go to jail?" I said, "F yeah, who don't?" They said, "You afraid of the jungle?" I said, "I ain't scared of."
To be clear, I am exaggerating more than a little bit, because one of the things that made John unique is that he never used foul language. But regardless, that didn't stop him at all from saying, "Where do I sign up?" From here, he went on to complete Jumpmaster course in the U.S. Navy SCUBA, i.e. Underwater Demolition Program, which earned him the in-house Force Recon distinction of being dubbed Double Trouble. He'd then go on to complete Army Ranger School, where he finished in the top 3 in his class. Now, as you'd imagine, a man who earned the elite title of Double Trouble within an organization of elite warriors who are already handpicked from America's elite fighting force is probably a bit of a hard ass at home. And you'd be correct. Case in point, after dropping his son Thomas off to attend the Virginia Military Institute, the only ounce of emotion he showed him was a firm handshake and one singular bit of parting advice.
Just remember, son,
They can't kill you. And that was it. He then turned around, got back in his car, and drove back home. Now, after hearing that, you're probably thinking that getting in trouble at school would have some serious consequences from a man like John. And once again, you'd be correct. Thomas was suspended in his second year of school, and without an ounce of emotion, John just looks at his son and says without even a hint of anger in his voice, "Pack it up and get out. And you are not to return until you are back at VMI." Thomas would later say that this was the best thing that could have happened to him, because not long after, he'd go on to attend the University of Virginia, which he paid for with his own money. One day, John Ripley was invited to speak to some UVA students about anyone thinking of joining the Marine Corps. And who else but his son Thomas would happen to be sitting in the crowd. This was the first time that Thomas would hear his dad give his iconic principles of being a Marine officer speech, and as you'd expect from a man like this, it did not disappoint. Now, to be clear, as much as I'd like to sit here and recite some of my favorite moments from that speech, I'm going to refrain from doing that for fear of you guys getting so absolutely fired up that you're just gonna run outside and start a bar fight at 2 in the afternoon.
I'm dressed up on Mountain Dew.
And nobody wants that.
Or do I? Our dress blues are pressed by the shame of those around us who wish they were Marines, but didn't have the balls or the guts to get off that bus on Paris Island and become a man.
Anyway, after the speech was all said and done, John gave all 30 of the prospective Marines a card with those principles written on it. And as someone who is a massive advocate for tough love, I'm happy to report that John's efforts 100% did the trick. And that's because Thomas's performance from then on were so exceptional that he was later readmitted to VMI, the same school that he was kicked out of previously, and was the #1 Marine officer candidate in the entire nation.
Hell yes.
He then went on to complete Marine Officer Candidate School and graduate at the top of his class, earning the title of Honor Man. Now, when John wasn't out in the world carving America's next great leaders out of solid blocks of granite, he still had a job to do as a Marine. And for a Marine, this meant he was either training or what he was prepping for next, which was deploying. In the summer of 1966, John would spend time with his family, help his brother move, and then save a 3-year-old kid from being mauled to death by a German Shepherd with his bare hands before saying goodbye to his family. It was off to his next great adventure where, unknown to everyone at the time, he'd soon find himself front and center on the evening news. After touching down in Vietnam, John was given command of Lima Rifle Company, 3rd Battalion, 3rd Marine Regiment, and very quickly, he established himself as an absolute gangster. If ever there was a man who believed in the Marine Corps philosophy that in order to win a fight, we need to get aggressive enough quickly enough, it was Captain John Ripley. John had 3 simple principles of war that he believed in, and that was to attack, and attack some more. But don't misunderstand.
Very sitting. Very sitting. Yes. I imagine that John Ripley, after every enemy encounter, would basically say that equivalent of puny enemy.
And think that John was nothing more than a blunt instrument, because he also believed that in order to be a good leader, he had to be a good role model for his men. If there was a hill that needed to be taken, John wouldn't do what other so-called leaders would do and just stay in the rear and point to where you needed to go. No, absolutely not. That thought never crossed his mind. If you needed to get to the top of that hill over there, you'd get there because he was right up front pulling you to the top. And not only was the man an outstanding leader, but
But, by the way, I mean, again, are we seeing a fucking pattern here? The best leaders in military history are the ones that lead from the front. Without question. Every single great leader that we have seen in military history literally is on the front lines leading the charge with his men. Like, without question. It's the ones that hide in the back, like MacArthur, that are a bunch of pansy-ass pussies that can't get shit done, but like to try and pretend they get shit done. The ones in the front are the ones that get shit done. Why? Because the men that they're leading have the utmost respect for them, because they're putting their ass on the line right there beside them. And so they have the utmost respect for that leader, and they will do everything in their power to complete the mission and to protect that person too, because he is willing to put his life in the same position that they are. And you will never find military troops more dedicated to their platoon or team or battalion, whatever leader, than the ones that are right there in the front, fighting right beside them. When that happens, you will have the most dedicated troops in the military that will do literally anything for you.
He was even more famously known to be completely fearless. During one particularly extra nasty firefight, while everyone else was down taking cover, John was completely exposed and out there just getting the job done. From a distance, the scene looked so insane that one of his fellow captains yelled to his radio man,
"Hey, tell that Marine to take cover."
To which his radio man, without skipping a beat, yelled back,
"That ain't no Marine, sir. That's Captain Ripley."
With each passing day, the legend of John Ripley just kept growing and growing, and
Now, why not just say he's the main character? That's not a Marine, that's the main character. Although I'm guessing maybe he's not going to use the main character moniker out of respect for Nick, is my guess. We will probably not get any references to quote unquote the main character from him. 'Cause that's kind of Nick's thing, honestly.
soon enough, his lore would elevate to even greater heights. Case in point, it is now March 2nd, 1967, and Lima Company has just taken out a sniper and captured a sentry carrying what appeared to be a pretty sophisticated radio. Knowing this wasn't a good sign, John went out to investigate and soon realized that they had unknowingly stumbled on an entire NVA battalion camp. No sooner did he process exactly what had just happened when all of a sudden, all hell had broken loose. The NVA unloaded on them with everything they had, from small arms to machine guns, grenades, and even mortars. Everyone knew that things had gone from bad to serious when Captain Ripley gave the order to fix bayonets. As the fighting intensified and the casualties mounted, a helicopter attempted to provide some much-needed assistance, but John, realizing that the helicopter would stand no chance of survival with the amount of fire that they were taking, had to make the hard choice to wave them off instead. So instead, in a last-ditch effort to provide some amount of help, the helicopter crew began kicking out as much supplies as they could out the door. Now, while this was better than nothing, I don't think anyone was ready for what Murphy's Law was about to unleash on them next. Because as one of the crates of medical supplies was free-falling towards the men of Lima Company, somehow a mortar round managed to hit one of those crates, sending men flying in all directions and shrapnel slinging into everyone, to include Captain John Ripley. The force of the blast caused John to come down so hard that he managed to break several ribs on the muzzle of his rifle. And because this is America and the way we get down is pics or it didn't happen, out of nowhere, a bunch of TV crews and cameramen came flooding into this active war zone to catch some of this action unfolding.
This was a thing in Vietnam. You had so many fucking news crews and amateur and filmmakers trying to either trying to capture the war or trying to make a fucking movie. Yeah, this was a thing in Vietnam. Plus, what we must not forget, the military had its own. The military had its own press corps. Don't forget about that. The military actually, that was the for those of you that had seen oh fuck. I'm blanking on the movie title. Oh, Full Metal Jacket. God, I can't believe I forgot. I can't believe that when I'm at it. Yeah, the very concept of Full Metal Jacket is that Joker was part of the press corps. He literally was going around Vietnam taking photos of what was happening in Vietnam. So, this was a thing in Vietnam. Not only did you have the civilian press corps and the civilian filmmakers, but you also had the military press corps as well doing the same fucking thing. So yeah, it was literally pics or it didn't happen in Vietnam, and there were plenty of people there to take the pics. Yeah.
exploits of Lehman Company would be seen all over America, to include his wife Moline back home, who was watching her husband in action on TV. When it was all over, Captain Ripley and his boys had fought so hard that they would later be dubbed Ripley's Raiders, which I'm happy to say is a name that stuck throughout the remainder of the war. After this battle, Ripley's Raiders would get to experience even more of John's philosophy of attack, attack, attack firsthand. In another firefight, John and the Raiders were completely pinned down by a lone machine gunner hiding out in his hole, with bullets flying all around them and everyone doing their best to stay out of the line of fire. The next thing everyone saw was their commander, Captain John Wick Ripley, running full speed towards that machine gun nest and putting it into it by himself.
You, working again? No, just sorting some stuff out.
Now to be
Okay, now I'm starting to get notes of Heartbreak Ridge. Yeah, the fact that he charged this machine gun nest by himself and took it out. Now, now he's starting to sound like fucking Tom Highway from Heartbreak Ridge. I have to wonder, did they get the idea for the Tom Highway character from John Ripley? Because you gotta think, you have to wonder how many of these absolute cinema badasses, stem from the idea of real life war heroes like this.
Now to be clear, don't think for a second that just because John took out a machine gun position by himself that he gave two flying fudge pops about personal glory. Sorry, remember, John never cussed, so I'm gonna have to try to throw out some of them Christian slurs today. Doggone it. Anyway, like I was saying, John didn't care about doing things for recognition or awards. He was a man who believed to his very core that in order to be a true leader, you had to, quote, require a person to focus on others rather than himself. To postpone one's own personal desires, i.e. what I want, until the needs of others have been looked after and satisfied.
Right.
Now look guys, I know that this isn't a funny or sexy topic to talk about, but I cannot stress enough how much Captain John Ripley truly cared about his men. If one of his men was struggling to keep their head in the game, he would happily take time out of his day, jump in that foxhole, and help them to overcome whatever fear was consuming them in the moment. If there was an enemy out there to fight, you would believe that you would see him out there crawling around right next to them, directing the fields of fire of his Marines. No one had...
Wait, again! This is how great leaders operate. This is it right here. They are out there, they're doing literally everything they can for their men, and they are there right beside them the entire time. These are what, the military leaders of today need to start re-examining the leaders of military history. They seriously, current military leadership, did this individual, this person, and Nick need to be required viewing for people going through OSA. This needs to be fucking required viewing now. I don't know his name. But him and people like him, people like Nick, their channels need to start becoming required viewership in OSET and in fucking Annapolis and in Quantico and they need to start showcasing this level of leadership. Because that's what's lacking right now. In the modern military, I'm sorry, this kind of leadership is lacking. And tyranny, tell me, us just on my stupid little stream here, listening to these stories, tell me you don't get fucking pumped, that you don't get hyped up hearing these stories of these great leaders that are actual leaders. Tell me it doesn't make you feel like, God damn it, I want to be regardless of who you are, what you do, all of it. Tell me listening to these stories does not get you so fucking hyped and make you go, God damn it, I want to be just like this person. This is the kind of person that I want to aspire to be. United States Military Command. I don't expect you to watch my stupid ass stream. I don't expect you to watch a sexy redhead anime girl bebopping around on Twitch. But for the love of fuck, start showing your leaders in training these guys' videos. This individual and Nick, the unsub guys, when they're interviewing people of like great leaders, they unsub just did one this weekend. Another Marine from another Marine that served in Vietnam who also put his men first. Like, start showing your leaders in training these stories told by these individuals. These kind of quote-unquote storytellers can be so fucking inspiring. Make it happen, military. Make it happen.
Ever seen the man back down from a fight, and everyone always saw him leading from the front. He was so in tune with his men that when he started to see them slipping due to the constant, never-ending grind of combat, he'd find out-of-the-box ways to refocus them and lift their spirits.
I expect the best, and I give the best.
Red check.
Here's the beer.
Alright, so maybe he didn't give them beer that we know of, but he did give them the luxury of hot coffee in order to provide them even the tiniest amount of civilization in this absolute dog poop conditions. Man, this is hard.
That's what she said.
But it went even deeper than that.
That's what she said.
Because
I missed the second joke. I was laughing too hard. I can't hear that again.
That's what she said.
But it went even deeper than that.
That's what she said.
Because John had one more trick up his sleeve. Along with that hot coffee, Captain Ripley would also provide his men with hot water so that they could shave every single day. His reasoning behind this was to prevent him.
Ew! Fuck. Hey, that may not seem like it, but yeah, Revan, exactly. Like, that's big. Allowing his men to get to freshly shave themselves every day when they're in country like that, out in the thick of in country, that's big. Like, holy crap! For like that's serious. It's allowing them not to feel like they're becoming inhuman. It's allowing them to like feel human and not lose their humanity because they can because leave us not forget, in boot, you're shaving every day. That's part of the thing with boot is you need to be clean shaven. It's ingrained into you that every morning, it's where the expression shit, shower, and shave comes from, because every morning that's what you do in boot. Shit, shower, and shave before you're out doing whatever. And then you're in country, and all of a sudden, so many of them are out in the jungle, they can't do the shave thing. They dance or can't do a shower, but they can't do the shave thing. The fact that he's letting him do that is amazing.
His Marines from getting lax in the field, and shaving every day was his way of maintaining that discipline, some personal dignity, and in his own words, quote, shaving marked the day and it also marked us. It was a clean start to the day.
You are unsightly, unsanitary, and in violations of Godfather's grimmest standards.
Now don't let all this compassion and caring for his men lead you to think for a second that old John is getting soft and that he is anything other than a true warrior. Keep in mind that they had seen a ton of combat, which means injuries were bound to happen sooner or later. John had been injured on 4 separate occasions, and eventually he was finally forced to evacuate, only to turn right back around, return to the front lines, and finish out his first tour. After this first tour, John would return home with a Silver Star, a Bronze Star with a V for Valor, and a Purple Heart. Apparently DEI Fat Electrician can't count. He said Captain John Ripley was injured 4 times, but you said he only got 1 Purple Heart. Learn to count, homie, and stop copying the Fat Electrician. Okay.
yeah, the man issued a beautiful self-burn there. I fucking love it.
No, I didn't misspeak. John only received 1 Purple Heart at the time because the man just straight up refused to report all his injuries.
I didn't hear no bell.
John understood that a commander who does the things that he does already attracts enough attention, and he knew that attracting any more could put his chances at fighting on the front lines at risk, so he kept them to himself. In other words, my guy, if you're not picking up what John is putting down, the man actively avoided reporting injuries that would have sent him home, when we all know full well that a lesser man would have used an ingrown toenail as an excuse to
Yes, Revan, that's it exactly. It wasn't about the medals. It wasn't about getting in and getting out and going home. It was, I'm a Marine. I'm here for my men. We have the job to do. We're going to get it fucking done. And I'm not going home until it's done. Yeah, it was. I don't know about its business, Revan. I don't think that is quite an accurate descriptor. I don't think it's for him it was business. It was for him, it was about the mission, and it was about his men. That's what it was. For him, it was, he had a mission, he wanted to complete that mission. And he was going to make sure he was going to try and protect his boys as much as possible during all of this. Maybe I just don't like the phrasing of quote unquote being business. It's like, I get, you're using it colloquially, but it's like, I don't know, it doesn't sound right. Like he's about business. I don't know, maybe it's just me being squirrely about it. It's just, I don't know, for some reason, it doesn't sound right in this context. But maybe that's just me. I'm wonky like that.
catch a ride back stateside.
Stand aside, worthy adversary. 'Tis but a scratch.
Anyway, after his initial tour was up, John would go on to attend a number of other schools, to include that one time where he served with the 3rd Commando Brigade, the 40th Commandos, and the Gurkha Rifles. And as if this weren't absolutely gangster enough, he then went on to become the first American to command a British unit when he was put in charge of Y Company, 4th Commando, Royal Marines. Now, I'm assuming this was a coincidence, but I'm inclined to believe that it was an inside joke that he got Y Company. You see what I'm saying? Y Company, Y Yankee, because he's a never mind.
Uh-huh.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
So he's put in charge of some Royal Marines and then decides that being the first American to do it isn't difficult enough. So in order to right this wrong in the world, he then decides to spend 2 consecutive winters with them 150 miles above the Arctic Circle. Alright. Pause.
What?
So far, every single thing that this man has said and done has got me so absolutely fired up that I'm ready to run just straight through that wall and just start pounding bourbon crayons and beating up civilians.
See? This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. What he just said right there, hearing these stories, hearing, like, what people like this can do, like these amazing individuals, these amazing Marines, soldiers, airmen, sailors, whichever the story is. That's exactly the reaction. We are experiencing it, listening to these stories. And what do you want to bet if if these stories were told by these individuals to people in the military, what do you think? Don't you think that they would get incredibly inspired too?
But this is, unfortunately, where I have to draw a line. Y'all see this velvety smooth chocolate complexion that I'm rocking? You know what that means? It means I don't like cold. Maybe David Goggin does, but this chocolate-coated content creator don't. The man went 150 miles above the Arctic Circle, where winds could get up to 40 miles per hour, which could push the temperature to 40 degrees below zero. And he stayed there for
yeah, there's a whole company of Marines that fought in Korea that'd be like, yeah, that ain't cold. Leave us not forget the Chosen Reservoir dropped down to -50. Don't forget about that. Those Marines that fought and won at the Chosen Reservoir during the Korean War, it dropped down to -50.
for 2 consecutive winters. For fun.
I can't feel my fingers anymore, Lloyd. They're numb.
Maybe you should wear these extra gloves. My hands are starting to get sweaty.
But apparently the man's gangster level energy wasn't maxed out enough, so during this time, he was also given special permission to attend Royal Marine Mountain and Arctic Warfare courses. And he completed both, no problems at all, and it doesn't end there. Now the man had already received the distinction of earning the title of Double Trouble within Marine Force Recon, and not long after that, he received a new title of Triple Threat. Well, now that he's just added the British Commando course to his resume, John received another upgrade from 3 to 4, which in turn gave him the new title of Quad Body, a title that at the time was shared by only 2 other men on the entire planet. The man was quite literally considered a mortal danger to anyone who happened to get on his bad side. And unfortunately for the North Vietnamese army, they were about to see what John's version of f*** around and find out was all about. Alright, so fast forward a bit, and it is now March 29th, 1972, and Captain John Rickley is back in Vietnam doing his normal attack, and real men lead from the front daily routine. Nothing at all seemed out of the ordinary until, without warning, the NVA decided that today is the day that they were going to audition to be the main character. NVA artillery came in so...
He said it! He said the thing!
heavy that it was later estimated that over 1,500 rounds a day were raining down on the U.S. Marines and South Vietnamese forces. After the initial attack, John and his men were sent north, and by Saturday, April 1st, the South Vietnamese 3rd Division were in danger of being overrun. The NVA, sensing the South's weakness, took full advantage and began a full-on steamroll towards the Dong Ha Bridge. Hey man, if you're gonna make knockoff fat electrician videos, then at least learn how to pronounce the names of things that you're talking about. No, I'm pretty sure I'm saying that right. Hey, you know what? How about we consult the man himself? What do you think, John? Am I saying that right?
Dong Ha Bridge.
Dong Ha.
Dong Ha Bridge.
Dong Ha. Yeah, we're going with what he said. Anyway, moving past grammatical virtue signaling, the fact of the matter is that this bridge was kind of a big deal, because on the other side of said bridge is tens of thousands of pissed off NVA soldiers, complete with an assortment of anti-aircraft guns, surface-to-air missiles, artillery, and hundreds of tanks. If it's not sinking in by now, it should go without saying that securing this bridge was absolutely crucial, and both sides knew it. So much so that the Marine and South Vietnamese forces were given a very simple order to follow: stand and die. No matter what happens, the NVA cannot make it across that bridge. So John, seeing only one way to make lemonade out of lemons, radios back to his boss like,
"Sir, we have got to destroy that bridge. Captain Ripley, I do not have the authority to tell you to do that. Sir, if we do not destroy that bridge..."
I see where this is going. I don't have the authority to tell you what to do. I don't have the authority to tell you to do it. I cannot specifically tell you to do it. Are you thinking of what I put down here, champ?
We are all done for. Captain Ripley, you need a general's approval to blow that bridge. But what I will do is send you all the explosives that I have. Do with that what you wish. Out.
So with that read between the lines order received, John immediately took off towards the bridge to hopefully destroy it. And just so we're all on the same...
Intruder, this is not Wish Fat Electrician. This guy is good. This guy is doing a wonderful job on his own. He's made the joke that he's DEI Fat Electrician, but you know what? He's a great storyteller also. Like, no shade whatsoever. He is doing a fantastic job with his storytelling. Yeah, he's good. He's obviously in on the joke. He's being a good sport about it. But on his own, I loved it. I loved it the way he's telling the story about John Ripley. I love this. He's fantastic. Yeah, it's actually, I think I probably will too. I'm probably gonna look in a little bit more into his channel. Absolutely. He's fantastic with this.
immediately took off towards the bridge to hopefully destroy it. And just so we're all on the same page, when I say John had to destroy a bridge in Vietnam, we aren't talking about some wooden bridge that the locals used to get between villages. No, this bridge was over 60 tons of steel and concrete, and it was built by some of the best engineers the military has, the Navy Seabees. Which pains me to say because as a
what? This was a bridge made by the Seabees. Shit. Okay, John has got his work cut out for him. Trying to take down a CB bridge. Fucking hell.
an Army engineer, I'm supposed to root for the home team, but doggone it, I've seen what the Seabees can do with my own eyes, and they absolutely kick our asses when it comes to building. Sorry, I mean they kick our booties when it comes to building stuff. So,
I wonder how much he knows. I wonder how much he talks to Rich, because Rich is also an engineer. So he's an engineer too. I wonder if they if they know about one another, they kind of they talk to one another.
When it comes to building. Sorry, I mean they kick our booties when it comes to building stuff. So John, realizing the gravity of the situation, is just looking across the horizon at this thing. He's looking at it and he's just thinking, how in the actual hell is he gonna get himself out there? Hell, how is he gonna get the explosives out there? And even if he somehow manages to pull that off, was it going to be a...
Okay, Pixelbud, Seabees are... Let me see if I can do a quick and dirty on this. Seabees are basically like... They're effectively like engineers. And they can basically build just about anything. And they can do it fast. They are, like, Seabees are effectively some of the best engineers that in the Navy. They're like, the Seabees are Navy. And they are like some of the best engineers in military history. They can build anything out of nothing. They can do it really fucking well. And they can do it really fucking fast. So... that's the quick and dirty about Seabees.
The explosives out there, and even if he somehow manages to pull that off, was it going to be enough? So he's just staring and he's just looking at this overwhelmingly, seemingly impossible task in front of him that would almost certainly kill him, and then he just begins to calm down. He realizes that, quote, when you know you're not going to make it, a wonderful thing happens. You stop being cluttered by the feeling that you're going to survive. Translation, it's now time for John to earn his namesake, and he is about to do some absolutely gangster shiznit. Keep in mind that while it is true that John is hilariously outgunned and undermanned, he is still a United States Marine. He is already default aggressive. He also happens to be a Force Recon Marine, and he also happens to be one of only 3 men on the entire planet who has earned the title of Quad Body. I think if anyone in the entire world had a fighting chance of pulling this one off, it was Captain John Ripley. Now, after John has pieced all this together, almost right on cue, John's co-conspirator in the shenanigans that he's about to undertake, Major Jim Smock, has just pulled up in an M48 main battle tank. And what Major Smock does next, I don't think gets enough credit. Because before he heads towards the bridge with John, his crew fires across the river and takes out one of the MVA tanks, which forces the entire column to stop. Now, make no mistake, this one act by itself obviously wasn't enough to turn the tide of the battle, but what it did do was give them just a little extra time for John to do the job that was in front of him. All right, cool. So on to step 1, which is they have to get to the bridge. So John and Major Smock jump off the tank and run across into open field towards the bridge, and somehow they both managed to make it without a scratch, despite the heavy artillery and machine gun fire landing all around them. Now, waiting at the base of the bridge were a couple of Army engineers with over 500 pounds of TNT and C4 that they were going to use to help John to take down the bridge. Oh, my bad, correction. No, they brought over 500 pounds of TNT and C4 so that John could take the bridge down by himself. Apparently, the engineers were so scared that they just flat out refused to help him. And then without so much as a see you later, good luck on pulling off the impossible task alone, they turned around and left John and Smock to fend for themselves.
Damn.
But that's not what I'm gonna do.
Well, if this impossible task wasn't already hard enough, it had just gotten literally 10 times harder. But whatever, John didn't have time for all that, so he quickly threw together some of that scientific wild-ass guess, aka swag math, and decided that he'd have to place all the TNT between the 6 massive girders supporting the weight of the bridge. Clearly easier said than done, but John had a job to do, so off he went, with his next obstacle being a razor-sharp C-wire fence placed between him and the underside of the bridge. Now, after climbing over it and slicing himself up pretty darn good, he started out on his first trip, and almost immediately it sank in how absolutely miserably impossible this entire ordeal was going to be. After reaching up to grab the first I-beam, he then had to hand walk the bridge in the exact same manner he used to do as a kid back home, and then swing his way across it like he was on monkey bars. Now, once he reached the first spot that his swag math deemed was good enough to bring the bridge down, he then had to swing and pull himself up into those girders and then place his satchel charges, which by themselves weighed 40 pounds. And as if this mission wasn't already physically and mentally demanding enough, keep in mind that John was doing all this while going on his 4th day in a row with no sleep and no food. And to add even more insult to injury, every single time he'd go out there and place more explosives, the NBA would let their displeasure be known with hundreds, if not thousands of rounds ricocheting all around him. The intensity of the NBA fire was so intense that the only thing John could think to do to give himself some breathing room was to call in naval fire on top of himself.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
Now, credit where credit is due. The commander of the USS Buchanan did initially refuse this danger close mission because, for lack of a better term, it was batshit crap crazy. But John managed to gently persuade him into changing his mind by responding via the radio,
"Commence firing immediately and don't stop."
Well, now that John had a little more room to work with and some more time to kill, his next order of business was to take a quick and well-deserved power nap. And by power nap, I mean he passed out. Like, while he was still hanging from the bridge full of explosives and while he was still getting shot at, John, he passed out. Apparently, days without sleep, food, and getting shot at so many times that you mistake your location for a Chicago hood will do that to a man.
Did I understand him correctly that he passed out while still hanging? Did I hear that correctly? He was still hanging from it and passed out. Jesus, what? That is some absolutely insane grip strength. Pink, I don't know. I have no idea if he tied him, if he like secured a line up there, or it literally just hanging by his hands and just, I don't know.
Fortunately for John, however, his minute-long sleep study was abruptly ended when a 100mm tank round slammed directly into the side of the bridge with so much force that it damn near sent him into the water 30 feet below. And somehow, whether by sheer luck or divine intervention, the round hit the bridge at such an extreme angle that it skipped off the steel instead of penetrating straight through, where he would have been instantly killed. John would go on to complete the same pattern for hours until he had completed a dozen trips, effectively placing all the explosives he needed to take this 60-ton beast down. Now all he had to do next was prime everything with detonators. Problem though, he didn't have any electrical blasting caps. Solution though, he'd have to use old school percussion caps. Problem though, someone had misplaced the crimpers to connect together the old school percussion caps.
Oh,
Clearly,
no.
this was going to be an issue.
Actually, it's going to be super easy. Barely an inconvenience. Oh, really?
Yeah, no, this wasn't going to be a problem at all.
I love the Ryan Shorts placement. Fucking beautiful.
For John, because in the absence of the proper tools, Marines improvise. So he grabbed all the caps that he needed, and then he proceeded to crimp each and every one of them with his teeth. Which doesn't sound like that big of a deal on the surface, but when you...
Oh my god, he crimped him with his... How many teeth did he crack doing that? Like, don't forget, like, these percussion blasting caps are metal. So he's literally using his teeth to crimp metal. That's why you have that's why you have a crimping tool. How much did he fuck up his teeth doing this? Holy shit!
realize that these caps are strong enough to blow a chunk of your face off, maybe you can get a bit of an appreciation for how absolutely dangerous this was. After he finished canine crimping enough caps, he then went right back out so that he could prime everything, or at least that was the plan. Because by this time, John had gotten to the point in the mission that he had already been at this for over 3 excruciating hours. Every man has his limits, and John, at the worst possible time, had found his. His muscles were giving out, fear was creeping in, and John was starting to doubt if he'd actually be able to pull this monumental task off. He was so close, right there at the finish line, and he knew that if he didn't pull this off, that not only were good Marines going to die, but also innocent South Vietnamese people as well. John, realizing that he wasn't going to be able to do this alone, decided instead to turn to God and pray that he'd give him the strength to pull this off. Now guys, listen, I don't want to turn this into a sermon. I don't know what you believe in or don't believe in, and quite frankly, I don't care. I'm not here to judge, but there's no denying that some incredible feats have been attributed to good men and women turning to God for help.
And I said, here am I. Send me.
And for John, who lived his entire life as a devout Catholic, reached his arms out, took hold of the bridge once more, and began singing a prayer to himself. With each and every swing, and every crawl, and every pull and push, he would inch his way further and further and further. And all along the way, he would sing this prayer to himself. Jesus, Mary, get me there. And that was the routine. That's what he would do. He would just repeat this prayer over and over and over again in rhythm to his movements. Jesus, Mary, get me there. And as the exhaustion in his muscles would sink in deeper and deeper, in turn, he would sing the prayer louder and louder until it was so loud that Major Smock, all the way from the edge of the river, could hear him. And he too began repeating the same prayer. And clearly it must have worked, because he managed to make it all the way to the other side until finally the last of the explosives were primed.
I could do this all day.
Well, not so fast. Because after making it back from his last trip, you know, after having set all those manually teeth-primed caps and a 30-minute fuse timer, he was greeted with Major Smock, preventing him with an entire box of electrical detonators.
Oh, you gotta be
Oh my fucking god! I guarantee you. He wanted to punch that man dead in the face. Fucking hell.
As you can probably imagine, John was not too happy about this. But not because he had to risk blowing his face off priming all those caps with his teeth, but because he now had to go back out there again so that he could be extra sure that the bridge would actually blow up. So out he went again, setting out the electrical detonators, but then only after returning did he realize that they had yet another problem. Last John checked, electrical detonators require electricity to detonate. So guess what they didn't have? Electricity? Yes, obviously. They didn't have a blasting box to set it off. Now, with everything that had just happened up until this point, John is pretty much just numb to this amount of disappointment surrounding him. So instead of getting pissed, he instead runs over to a burned out Jeep, yanks the hood open, stuffs the wires into the battery terminals, and then nothing. So he flips the wires around, hoping that would make any kind of a difference. And again, nothing. And John is he's done at this point. He's exhausted. He could barely move. His thoughts are all hazy, and all he can do now is just sit back and wait and hope that this bridge actually explodes as the fuse counts down to minutes completely unknown. So now he's just waiting for this bridge to explode, and for whatever reason, he just lifts his head up and he looks across the distance, and he can barely make out 2 figures walking down the road towards him. And as they got closer and closer and closer, eventually he's able to make sense of what he's seeing. And off in the distance, he sees what appears to be a mother holding her baby. And to make matters worse, only a few steps behind her was her daughter, who was fighting as hard as she could to keep up with mom, even though mom barely moving herself because she was missing part of her left foot and was hobbling along with what appeared to be some kind of improvised splint. John, who is completely gassed at this point, something inside him just snaps. Even though he was cut up, bleeding past his physical limit, and with full knowledge that at any
Yeah, Nick, yeah, she was missing part of her foot, had a makeshift splint on, and yes, Silver, that was the clip from the end of Train to Busan. Like, shit!
He was cut up, bleeding past his physical limit, and with full knowledge that at any moment this bridge was going to blow up, he jumps to his feet and runs towards that mother and her kids. No matter what was going to happen to him, he was not going to sit by and let these innocent people die out here. So he starts sprinting and sprinting as hard and as fast as he can, and right when he just makes it to them, without warning, the bridge came crashing down, and the blast sent all 4 of them flying through the air. Somehow, every single one of them managed to survive the blast. The NBA...
Shit! Oh, shit! Oh, God! Oh, God, that hit me too fucking hard! Fuck, that hit me too hard! Oh, God! Oh, shit! Oh, oh, God! Because he held it. Oh, thank God. Oh, oh, thank God. Oh, oh, no, God. I was, oh, God. Oh, God, oh, God, oh, God, oh, God. Huh. Oh, I was not expecting that. Oh, that hit me so hard and fast. I didn't think I was gonna cry. I did not think I was gonna cry. Oh, fuck. Okay. Oh, God. Okay. Oh, they're okay. It's just, I think it was just everything was just building up so much. The fact that they all survived just hit me so hard. Oh, God. Okay. 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 Okay.
Through the air. Somehow, every single one of them managed to survive the blast. The NBA are completely shocked. They had planned for an easy win and were so cocky that they literally had 0 contingency plan. So as a result, they ended up jamming up at the mouth of this bridge, and John knew that he had those NBA tanks across that river dead to rights. So he grabs his radio and calls the USS Buchanan again and was ready to dish out some well-deserved payback to the NBA. And just as he's about to send the call for fire, he takes one moment, gives that mother and her kids one last look to ensure that they're clear from danger, and then he calls in the steel rain.
Drop some lead on those motherfuckers!
What Captain John Ripley accomplished that day was an act of heroism directly on par with some of the greatest acts of valor in all of American history. And even though he didn't get the Medal of Honor for his actions, the United States Marine Corps was about to go all out for him in a way.
Sorry, fucking what? What? He was not awarded the fucking Medal of Honor for all of that? Are you fucking kidding me? No, in the holiest of fucks, was this man not awarded the Medal of Honor for that? Like, I understand John Ripley himself probably didn't care. Let's get that out of the way right now. John Ripley probably did not care that he was not awarded the Medal of Honor. Okay? We do. Like, just fucking how was this decision made that he was not awarded the Medal of fucking Honor for that? I'm hoping we get some kind of I don't know if we're gonna get some kind of fucking explanation of this. we goddamn better. Because this is fucking textbook Medal of Honor stuff. The CNA's behind enemy lines does not fucking matter. In front, behind enemy lines doesn't matter. Location does not matter. It's an act of valor in the face of overwhelming odds at the risk of great personal safety and health to save thousands.
His actions, the United States Marine Corps was about to go all out for him in a way that only the Devil Dogs could possibly pull off. So John had done it. He'd taken on an impossible mission under impossible circumstances and came out the other side having done the impossible. This is straight up Medal of Honor worthy material, which his command also agrees on, but the military policies being what they are, required that a report be completed within 48 hours of the incident.
Fuck you! Fuck you with a bad dragon wrapped in Constantino wire, soaking fucking napalm with a match lit. You're in the middle of a fucking war zone and fill out the paperwork within 40 hours. Go fuck yourselves with that bullshit. God, fucking told the bureaucratic. Oh, I hate the bureaucratic bullshit. I fucking hate it. Fucking hate that. No, Silver, they don't deserve the dignity of ghost pepper hot sauce. They're getting fucking shelled up napalm on that son of a bitch with a fucking Zippo sparked up right the fuck next to it. That's what they fucking get.
Why are you the way that you are?
This was damn near impossible considering that after the bridge went down, the remainder of the Easter offensive went on for another 8 full days. Seriously, it's not like the enemy was gonna be like, hey, look at me when I'm shooting at you. Oh, snap, my bad. Yeah, of course. We'll stop sending Forever Sleep solutions your way so that you can fill out the paperwork. That's our bad. No, of course not, but whatever. Captain Ripley was the type of guy who never did what he did for awards or glory or fame, so regardless of how unfair it was, which it is, he would go on to finish his tour in Vietnam and go on to have a full career, eventually promoting.
And that's what I was saying. It didn't matter to him. He was just there to do the mission and to go home. But it is a slap in the fucking face that the military did this to him. That they did him like that. It is a slap in the fucking face.
To the rank of colonel. John would eventually retire and remain in good health throughout the remainder of his time in service, but in 1992, he was officially diagnosed with colon cancer. John would continue to fight this new battle for years until in 2001, it was determined that his liver couldn't keep up anymore and that he'd require a transplant. In July 2002, a liver was finally sourced, and his doctor, Dr. Matsumoto, who was not only an outstanding surgeon but also happened to be an Army Ranger, was assigned to the case. And during the surgery, a number of additional complications had unfortunately surfaced. But Dr. Matsumoto, knowing how tough a fellow Ranger really was, simply responded by saying, quote, "If 20,000 North Vietnamese couldn't kill Colonel Ripley, then neither will I."
I'm a cybernetic organism, living tissue over metal endoskeleton.
After 8 hours of surgery, they managed to fix him up completely, but after only an hour, the liver was already starting to fail.
That's not good news. That's not good news at all. I asked you for some good news, Donald.
They'd need to find a second one. 2 days later, somehow, a new one was found in Philadelphia, which was great news for the family, but it actually was horrible news timing-wise. There was no way that they'd be able to get it back in time. For most patients, even if a new organ is found, they tend to die waiting for it to get there. And knowing that they were on borrowed time, Colonel Ripley's sons knew that there was only one way to make this work. Marines! Assemble. John's son Thomas picks up the phone and literally calls in the absolute biggest of the big guns. General James Jones, the Marine Corps Commandant, answers the call and is all in on hoping to save the life of a fellow Marine. John, a Marine who had given 35 of his best years to the Corps, needed saving, and General James Jones would be damned if they were going to let a living legend die due to poor logistics. And in what has to be the most gangster of Marine Corps moves, the General sends Marine 1, the President of the United States of America CH-46, to bring them to the liver. So off they go. Thomas and Doc drive to Marine 1, barely making it in time, just straight up pulling in on fumes, and they catch a ride on, I say again, the President's helicopter to go and get the liver. And when they land, they link up with
yeah, POTUS can chill out in the White House and hold off on going to that ballroom dinner. We got some real business to fucking attend to right now.
with a police escort to get it, and then they were escorted right back to Marine 1 with the liver now in tow. Well, that's one big problem solved, but technically they have an even bigger problem to solve next. The issue they're running into now is Marine 1 is massive. It's too big to land on or near Johns' hospital. So they start calling around, they're looking for alternate landing sites, and just when it seemed that they were yet again not going to make it in time, yet another Marine decides to join in on this fight for survival. A fellow Vietnam veteran, Sergeant Thomas Hardy, just happens to be a helicopter pilot in the DC area, and he proposes that they find a big enough place to land, offload Marine 1, and hot swap into his smaller bird so that they can land directly on the hospital. And why, you might be wondering, would Sergeant Hardy go through all this trouble to help Colonel Ripley, a man that he never met before in his life, out in this way? Well, because in his own words, quote, "This is a Marine Corps mission. Once a Marine, always a Marine." Hell yes. Semper f***ing Fi. Oh my gosh. Oh, I'm sorry. I just cussed. I know I just cussed, John, but damn it, you're gonna have to let that one slide because this is just straight up America at its finest. I love this so much. And I'm happy to report that while this transplant was a complete success, that's not quite the end of it. Later, when General Jones was questioned about why so much money was spent on one man, he not only told them that the man was a living legend, but he also had one more surprise up his sleeve for John. After John was moved into his room for recovery, he received an unexpected visit from a Marine Corps color guard, and what they were carrying were the Marine Corps battle colors. And for anyone who's kind of somewhat similar with U.S. military customs and courtesies, you're probably thinking that this is just any old unit flag that you'd break out for special ceremonies, occasions, whatever. But that is not at all what this was. This flag had approximately 50 streamers on it, with each one of them representing a battle that the Marines have fought in since the Revolutionary War up until the present. Oh, did I forget to mention that there are only 2 of these flags in existence? The original is kept in Washington, D.C., and the duplicate is in the Commandant's office of the Pentagon. Guys, I'm trying to tell you that the most powerful general in the United States Marine Corps sent his personal flag to John's bedside. And I'll do you one better, because along with the flag, he gave one simple and very clear order to go along with it. Quote, "These colors are not to leave this room until you leave this room." Colonel Ripley went on to make a full recovery, and I'm happy to report that he continued to live not only the life of a warrior, but also one of a mentor. He remained a voracious reader, often reading 4 or 5 books at a time, and he'd use all this knowledge to give motivational speeches all over the country. In October 2008, he was expected to give yet another speech, and when he didn't show up, his family knew something must have been wrong. After checking in on John in his home, they found that he had unfortunately passed away in his sleep. General Douglas MacArthur described it best when he said, "The man most known for blowing up a 60-ton bridge ended up passing away quietly. He didn't die, he simply faded away." Colonel John Walter Ripley was laid to rest on November 7, 2008, and it was one of the largest funerals anyone had ever seen in their life. And as a testament to the lives that he touched, over 2,500 attendees came out to pay their respects. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the story of yet another John that you can add to the list that left their mark on this world. I appreciate you all watching, and if you like what I'm doing here and you want to support me, go out and get yourself some of this tactically acquired merch. Out.
No, that is fucking amazing. Oh my god, that was fucking amazing. Oh, oh god. Oh my god. Oh, 7 and Semper Fi. Semper Fi.